has been better than we anticipated, I think, and they're one win away from continuing the Mike Tomlin streak of no losing seasons. CC and I both said that this was going to be the year that breaks the streak because Rodgers may not have much left. I'm not suggesting he's winning the MVP. I'm also not suggesting he's not good enough to lead a team to a division title, guys. Are you expecting them now to hold on to the AFC North?
Yeah, they got an easier road. Their remaining games, they've got the Detroit Lions and the Cleveland Browns, along with that date, Week 18 against the Baltimore Ravens in Pittsburgh. The Ravens have a much tougher road to hoe. They've got the Green Bay Packers and they've got the New England Patriots. So I just think that based on the schedule, based on the calendar, it feels like it's Pittsburgh's division to lose. And I'm going to tell you this, if you get the Aaron Rodgers that we've seen over the last 2 weeks, then not only is this Steelers team capable of getting into the tournament, but they're capable of being able to win a playoff game and go on a little bit of a roll here. They look damn good, and Aaron Rodgers was throwing dots last night. The 2 throws that he made to DK Metcalf in between the numbers, one that was in the first quarter with about 4.5 minutes to go, the other one in the third quarter with 5 minutes to go that ends up being a touchdown where DK just mauls the secondary, the Miami Dolphins. Those are outstanding throws. The one to MVS, the touchdown, that was a great throw. You saw Aaron Rodgers getting his bag a little bit last night. Mm-hmm. Monday Night Football, the lights bright, making sure that they keep pace ahead of the Baltimore Ravens in the AFC North division race. I thought he's played his best football these last 2 weeks. And it just so happens to coincide with the team winning back-to-back games for the first time since early October. So credit to Aaron Rodgers because it feels like the Pittsburgh Steelers offense has woken up a bit.
Absolutely. And he's the catalyst for that in a lot of ways. And I was thinking about this last night, watching him look as effective as he did. So often when we get into the playoff picture, once it starts to crystallize, we always defer to the head coach quarterback combo that we trust the most. Yesterday when we were talking about the NFC picture, we're talking about the Rams being the most complete team in football, and we're talking about Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay, 2 guys who have been there, done that. They've won a Super Bowl together. We know how good they are at their craft, and that carries a lot of weight come January and February. If you look at the AFC playoff picture, there shouldn't be a head coach quarterback duo that we trust more than Tomlin and Rodgers. And I know Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game in some time. I know Aaron Rodgers isn't the same version of himself that we've seen in the past. But we're talking about a 4-time MVP and a Super Bowl champion and a head coach who's a Super Bowl champion who's never had a losing season. On its face, we should trust them more than any other quarterback head coaching duo in this AFC playoff picture. Now, we'll see if that bears itself out. But they not only have to win the division and get to the tournament, they need to win a playoff game. It's time. They need to win a playoff game.
So then, Smalls, no Mahomes, no Burrow, likely no Lamar. Do you believe that not winning a playoff game is a failure of a season for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
It has to be. Even if those players that you just mentioned were in the tournament, it would be a failure for the Pittsburgh Steelers if they didn't win a playoff game. The standard is the standard. The standard is getting into the playoffs and winning playoff games and competing for and winning a championship. You think those Steelers fans would be satiated by just getting in? You think those Steelers fans would be okay not winning another playoff game? It's been a decade. It's time. You waited around all offseason for Aaron Rodgers for this.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I think that the goal and the bar to clear is to win a playoff game, because if it's just about not having a losing season and getting to the tournament, you could have done that with anybody else, because that's what Mike Tomlin always does. They've made the postseason trending going toward 5 of the last 6 years and 8 of the last 12 years. So it's not novel for them to be in the tournament, but this is about being able to do something more than what you've been able to accomplish over recent memory. This is about being able to win a playoff game for the first time in the last decade. If the standard is the standard and trying to win championships seems like it's the standard for the Pittsburgh Steelers organization, then they waited on Aaron Rodgers to be able to deliver that. So I'm not going to call it a success story unless and until they end up getting into the tournament to do that. But I will say this. All of the people that were booing Mike Tomlin and chanting fire Mike Tomlin a few weeks ago, y'all need to walk that back. Y'all need to have a lot more respect for what this man is capable of doing. Mike Tomlin has put the Steelers in a situation where their floor is the ceiling for 20 other teams. That's the reality of it. You're not going to have a losing record. You're more likely than not going to be in the playoffs and going to have a chance to compete for it all. 20 other teams in the NFL would sign up for that today.
How about the team they played last night?
The Miami Dolphins. Exactly. When's the last time they won a playoff game? I'll wait. So I would caution all of the Steelers fans that want to run Mike Tomlin out of there with the torches and the pitchforks. This guy has done a really good job as your head coach over 19 years, and you're starting to see this team play its best football right now. Think about this. They won that game last night in dominating fashion without T.J. Watt, who I guess has the doctors from the L.A. Chargers once upon a time on retainer, the ones that poked Tyrod Taylor in the lungs before he had to start. But anyway, they won that game without their best defensive player on the field against a team that was absolutely rolling, a team that was running the ball for over 150 yards a game over their win streak. They won that football game without their best defensive player. That is a sign of good coaching. I don't know why you want to take credit away from the greatness that is Mike Tomlin.
So can we just go back to what you just said, because I think it's a really interesting way of looking at it, and I haven't heard it done this way, where you said the floor for the Steelers is the ceiling for most teams.
Yeah.
Can we name names? Can you give me, I'll do it this way, CC. On the Steelers' worst year with Tomlin, blank are the teams that would dream of that being their best year right now. Like, in other words, 9-8 is basically Tomlin's worst year, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Jets would dream of a 9. If Aaron Glenn went 9, the Jets and Browns, okay. If Aaron Glenn or Kevin Stefanski went 9-8 this year, they'd win Coach of the Year.
The Titans?
The Titans, obviously, Brian Callahan would still be employed. Cam Ward, would be the Rookie of the Year, hands down, right? And then if you did it, imagine if you're the Cleveland Browns, you went 9-8 2 years in a row with Shador. That would be one of the greatest hypothetical storylines that your franchise could ever imagine. And while I can't see Vegas East right now, I know their frustration around our conversation around Tomlin is strong, and they're probably shaking their heads saying, okay, so this is where you're at now, comparing the Steelers and Tomlin to these other teams? No. Where I'm at in listening to CC is I think he just put it in amazing perspective. Teams would dream of the Steelers' worst year.
Yeah, I mean, here it is, F. I mean, let's just go by the numbers. Mm-hmm. Since 2014, there are only 8 teams in the NFL that have more playoff games played than the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's it. Only 8 teams. That's the number.
Wow.
The Steelers are always in the tournament. We always say there are around a quarter of the league, half a dozen to a quarter of the league, they have an actual chance at being able to win a championship. Hell, Aaron Rodgers talked about it before the start of this season. That's about it. Mm-hmm. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are always hovering around being one of those teams that's a threat to be able to put it all together at the right time. And so much of winning a championship is catching that proverbial lightning in a bottle, right? It's getting hot at the right time. Mm. And there is a short list of coaches that I would trust more to have their team in position to do that, to have that kind of momentum going into the tournament.
Good rebuttal. That's a good rebuttal.
There's that. But Canty, the Steelers don't compare themselves to those guys. They compare themselves to the 49ers, to the Chiefs, right? Like, to teams that actually win Super Bowls. And guess what's happening? Like, they have no shot. Yeah, they make the playoffs, but you could go into most of those games being like, they have no shot here. And right now they have a shot, right? Because they would match up with the Chargers, so you would expect it. If somehow the Bills get that 5th seed, they have no shot winning that game.
Can I just point something out? You just brought up the 49ers and the Chiefs. And if you want to talk about all of those other teams that are ahead of the Steelers in terms of total playoff games played over the last dozen years, the 49ers, the Seahawks, the Rams, the Bills, the Eagles, the Packers, the Patriots, the Chiefs. You know what all those teams have in common? They had a damn quarterback.
All right, and whose fault is that?
I'm not absolving Mike Tomlin of blame for the revolving door that has been the quarterback room for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think the organization has failed more so for not being able to identify a blind spot and bring somebody in there that could fix it. It wasn't Kevin Colbert. It hasn't been Omar Khan. Somebody has got to fix it. It's clear that Mike Tomlin, although he's a great coach, may not be the best in terms of developing quarterback talent. You got to find a quarterback. And you had an opportunity this offseason, according to our Adam Schefter, to get aggressive and try to get in on Matt Stafford. You chose as an organization not to. So when it comes to the bar to clear, yeah, that colors it a little bit differently for me in terms of how I'm going to define success. They can't just get into the playoffs and call it a win. They've got to win a playoff game and get on a bit of a roll before I'm willing to write the success story. But I'm just saying that there is the potential for that to happen based on the version of Aaron Rodgers that I've seen over the last 2 weeks. That is all.
More on that. The other side of the game last night presents an interesting question.